is we're going to focus on teaching you to build some good feelings. Because a lot of you are not in touch with your bodies other than in an onanistic way. And I want to show you how to build in good feelings. Because when you feel good, it's much easier to attract people. If you start out already feeling good, then you don't need to rely on her response to make you feel good. You're already where you want to be. So it's easier to draw her towards you rather than grasping out for her. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about being able to build good feelings in your body. Now, the interesting thing about feelings is feelings have a sequence. That when you're feeling in a certain way, there's a sequence to where those feelings start in your body. They start a certain place, they move in a certain direction, and they leave your body in a certain way. Okay? So we need another volunteer. Mac. Now, this is another person of whom I am immensely proud. Come up here, Mac. Let's give him a big hand. He is a changed man. From the gray paw of Sargi reached out and touched him. Is that true, brother?
Amen, brother.
Preach on, brother. Is it true, brother?
Amen. Yes, it is.
It's very true. He used to have a problem with being afraid of mistakes, yeah?
Mistakes were like a 18-pound sledgehammer coming down on my head.
Ooh, nasty. But you don't have that problem anymore, do you?
No, I learned from everything I do.
That's right. How long did it take to fix that one?
You worked with me 2 times, 10 minutes apiece. I went to lunch. I thought I made a mistake. 5 minutes later, halfway back, my brain started telling me what I learned from the situation.
Yeah, that's real cool. Ooh. We're going to put that, I have a tape of that. We're going to put it on the website so people can click and hear us doing some work. Okay, so we're going to play with you. So let's.
I like that.
Okay, good. He likes that. Okay, we're going to talk about building good feelings. So what I want you to do, there you go, you can put those away. I hear voices. It's the Thorazine is wearing off.
That's all right. We can make them disappear.
Okay. I want you to remember a time when you were feeling really, really good. Really good. Close your eyes if it helps you remember. Now, you don't always have to get eye closure. That's a typical NLP bullshit thing. They always have to close your eyes, and you always have to sit knee to knee. Thank you, doctor. Carbonated sugar water that rots your teeth. Yum. Okay, remember that good feeling. And as you're remembering that good feeling, what I want you to do is point to the place on your body where the feeling first starts. Okay, and where does the feeling go from there? Show me with your hands. Use both hands. Show me how the feeling moves.
It starts radiating out through my body.
Starts radiating out through your body. It seems to be moving in a certain, like, rotating direction.
Yeah, and
That
it
would
fills
be-
my whole body.
Okay, where does it go? As it's spreading out like that, where does it go?
Just starts filling up and goes out, and when it can't go out further anyway.
Well,
just
slow
keep-
down, slow down. I'm not that quick when it comes to this stuff. Do it again.
It starts spreading out in a circle, keeps getting bigger and bigger, and then it hits the sides of my body. And
It
then
hits the
starts-
sides of your body, goes up the sides of your body or down? I couldn't tell from your
Just
gesture.
like if you were to squirt foam, foam into an enclosure, and it would
I like
hit
that
the
idea.
edges of it, and then it would start spreading.
Okay. If I were to use my inflatory intromissive organ, I would do that. Okay, then where does it go when it spreads out that to the sides?
It goes up through my head, out into my arms, and down into my legs.
Then where does it go when it goes down out your legs?
It just fills my whole body up, stops at my toes, at the ends of my fingers, and the top of my head.
Now, okay, I want you to, so close your eyes. I want you to start that sequence, but this time, instead of it going, when it goes out your fingers and out your toes and the top of your head, pull it all back in here again and start looping around again.
So I'm going to keep repeating,
Mhm.
repeating.
And each time you loop it faster and faster and faster.
Okay, it's moving like a strobe light now.
All right. Keep looping. Looks like he's feeling better, doesn't it? Does it? Yeah. Okay. Don't feel that good, Jesus. Burn a hole in the chair. Well, he does this real fast. Amy, are you feeling all right, sweetheart?
I'm going to pass that if you don't.
Okay, stop. Go sit down. You got that real fast. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to break up into groups. Now, this is going to be an exercise in how well you follow instructions. So we're going to train you to follow instructions very carefully. We're going to break up into groups of 3, and let me tell you what the purpose is of having 3 people, okay? We need a person to be an observer, all right? The observer is going to watch the 2 people work. He's going to watch the person going through the process to see how their body is shifting, and he's going to be watching the other person to see if the other person is paying attention to the person whose body is shifting. You're the overall observer. You're observing the 2 people. The person observing, the person going through the experience is going to pick a good feeling. Okay, so we have person A, person B, person C. Let's start with that. Person A's job is to watch person B and C, okay? Person B is going to pick a time when they were feeling really great. And person C, your job is to say to that person, notice where the feeling starts first. So this is the question you ask. You may write this question down. Notice where the feeling starts first. And have person B show you with their hands. Okay? If person B is doing this, look at me. Person B goes, it starts in my chest. That's the wrong answer. They have to show you where it goes. All right? And then you know what the next magic question is? Where does it go next? You want them to show you. All right? You got that? And then you want to keep doing this till the feeling leaves their body. And you go, okay, where's the last place it goes when it leaves your body? You got that? When you've got the sequence and the direction it goes, the next step is to go, okay, run through the sequence, but when they get to the end, you want them to put the feeling back into their body where it started from. So let me give you an example. Let's say they tell you the feeling starts on the top of their head. Look up here. Stop writing. Okay? You're going to take them through the sequence, and then when they get to the end, say, now start it looping around again by going through your head. You understand what I'm saying? Wherever they tell you. If they say, let's say they say the feeling starts in my asshole. Okay? Take them through the process and go, okay, stick the feeling in your asshole and run it through your body again in the exact same sequence. And have them keep looping it and looping it and looping it. And your job is to observe them to see if they change. Is their face getting brighter? Is their physiology and their breathing shift? Do you get it? Yes. Okay, the people who are observing, person A and person B, I want you to write down what shifts you see in their body. This is equally an exercise in observing responses and asking questions, as much as it is the person going through the feeling sequence. Do you understand? Yes. So the purpose of the exercise is not just to show you how to loop around your feelings. It's to teach you to observe, to note your observations, and to ask questions with precision. Okay? So here's what you're going to do. You're going to say to the person, remember a time when you were feeling great. Is that what you're going to say? Remember a time when you were feeling great. Okay? Now, how do you know how to say that? Remember a time when you were feeling great as you're asking the question. All right? Now, then you say to them, where does that feeling start in your body? Have them show you with their hands. If they answer you verbally, that's not a right answer. They have to, it's okay to answer verbally if they also show you with their hands. So get them to show you with your hands. So part of the exercise is to see that the other person is paying attention to the right instructions and to correct them if they're not. Okay? You know what the magic question is? What's the magic question after that? Where does it go next? Okay? Where does it go next? Where does it go next? Until they get to the point where they say, then it leaves my body. And then you tell them, okay, run through the sequence again, have them run through it, and then have them loop it back in where the feeling starts. So if they tell you in the beginning that it starts in their chest, are you going to put it in their asshole? Where are you going to put it? Do you get me? Yes. Who does not get the instructions or understand? Be honest with me. Who doesn't get it? Now, who here has real trouble experiencing any feelings in their body? Tell the truth. Okay, someone's lying to me, but that's okay. We'll find out. So, this is an exercise in being decisive. So, break up into groups of 3 And those of you who are pretty advanced students, after you've done the exercise, go around and help. Groups of 3, A, B, what, Scott?
The ability to do that shuts on and off. I go through periods where I'm challenged with that.
Okay, let's talk about that. You go through periods when you're challenged with
The experience and feelings in my body.
what's different during the times when you're able to do it versus, hold on, pay attention here. What's different in the times when you're able to versus the times when you're not? Why didn't we use this all along? What's different?
I am less rigid, more flexible.
What's different in what you're doing during the day? I have an intuition that it has to do with the physical fatigue you're feeling. When you're physically tired, what do you do with your body?
Don't move.
Okay, but in terms of feeling things in your body, what do you do when you're physically tired?
Stretch out, lay down.
Do you feel things in your body when you're physically tired, or do you shut it down?
I think it shuts down.
Okay, so I think my intuition is when you're feeling relaxed and you have sufficient rest, you can feel things in your body.
Most likely.
Yeah, it's an energy conservation matter. It's not an emotion. So remember, are you feeling physically tired right now? Or are you feeling okay?
A little tired.
Okay, you want to know how to energize yourself with breathing? Do you know how to do that?
Yeah.
We learned it in Cancun. Do it. Okay. All right. So break up into groups of 3. Do the fucking exercise and switch off. Once you're done, then you switch places. Do you understand that? Okay. You should take about 20 minutes to do this drill. Do it. Break up into groups of 3. If there are odd men out, we'll work with you. No, I'm fine. I like it like this. Okay, so how did we do? Now, believe it or not, the point of the exercise was not about the person doing the feelings. The point of the exercise was about the people observing and asking the questions. So how many people of you were able to observe and actually see the shifts in the people's bodies and their facial expressions and their breathing? Very good. How many people were able to ask the questions in the proper sequence, in the right way? Very good. See, that's the real point of the exercise. How many people were actually able to build more intense feelings going through the exercises? Okay? Good. Okay. Now, I heard a report about you that you were saying you didn't feel anything, but you were back like this and your posture was shifting, your physical. Huh?
Only at one.
But after that, you were able to feel things? You were not able to feel things?
We're not.
We're not, but at one point you were. So at no point were you able to feel anything. So what was going on when you had your hands back like
Holding my arms.
for just because it was a comfortable posture?
Because
Okay, I could buy that. Well, let me ask you a question. Is feeling things in your body generally a challenge for you, or just in this context, or what's up with that?
sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Okay, so what's different about the times when it's easy and it's not a challenge?
I think the times it's a challenge is usually when I have when my subconscious is doing a lot of work.
Oh, okay. So when your subconscious is doing a lot of work, the energy is being put into integrating learnings and that sort of thing.
It seems to be what happens.
It seems to be. Okay, come up here.
Now the victim.
No, I don't consider you a victim. I consider this to be an opportunity. Okay. Now listen to the language. Have a seat. Be comfortable. What's your name again?
Evan.
Wrong. Okay. Okay. Relax. I'm not going to do anything intense for you. We're just going to talk a little bit about language. So it seems to you that that's the case.
That's what I've observed.
What you've observed. How long have you thought of yourself? How long have you thought of yourself as someone who has a challenge with feeling things?
No.
You don't know. Well, if you could guess, how long have you thought of yourself as someone who's had a challenge feeling things?
I would say I identify myself as a person who has a challenge feeling things sometimes.
how long have you thought of yourself as a person who has a challenge identifying with feelings sometimes?
Always.
Always. Okay. So when you think of always, okay, where is always subjectively in space? I mean, is always behind you, in front of you, below you, above you? Where is always?
I've never been able to place things in space.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you think of when you say the word always, so that means always means ever since you could think.
No, I just can't remember a time not thinking that way.
You can do the activity of not remembering a time when you didn't think that way. So what you're saying is when you access your memories of how you think about yourself, there's never a time when you're not accessing a memory when you did not think that way. In other words, every memory that you can access includes a representation that you had a challenge at times with accessing feelings. Can you hold that?
Yeah, I can hold this. Okay. Every memory I have of myself
Right.
reinforces that feeling that at times I had a difficult time with
Right.
feelings.
Okay. So here's my question for you. This is a curiosity point for me because I don't know. Okay. I'm wondering how far back those memories go. If you could put an age on it. I know it's guessing. I'm not asking you to be precise.
The number that just popped in my mind was 12.
12.
That was
Okay.
Probably.
So prior to 12, had you thought of yourself this way? I'm not saying that you have the experience of being this way, but had you thought of yourself? Had you come to the conclusion that this is the way you are prior to 12? Now, do you understand, are you sharp enough to understand the difference in the question? I'm not asking prior to 12, did you have this experience of having challenges with your feelings? I'm saying prior to 12, did you think of yourself as a person who had these challenges? Do you understand the difference in the question? Do you understand the question?
Yes, and it's not anything I've thought of.
If you're okay, as you think about it right now, take a minute. Because those two things are not the same. It's one thing to say that I've had the experience of having challenges with my feelings. It's another thing to say, in addition to and on top of and surrounding that, I've thought of myself as someone who has challenges with my feelings. One deals with capability, the other deals with identity. Do you understand the distinction between capability and identity?
Essentially, I believe
Okay,
it.
so identity has to do with statements about who you are. Capability just has to do with whether you've been able to do something up to now or not. You understand those distinctions?
Right.
Right. So for example, if I said I'm just not a rock climber, that's a statement about who I am. But if I said I haven't yet learned the skills of rock climbing completely, that allows for possibilities I can shift and change. So I am not going to suggest to you that you in any way give up whatever limitations you perceive that you have. I am not going to suggest in any way to you that you give up any limitations that you seem to have. What I'm going to do is to suggest that you keep them, but keep them in a framework that allows for some potential movement. So in other words, as you think about not having the ability to access feelings, that's perfectly fine with me. But I would much rather you phrase it as saying, I just don't have the ability and never have. That's different from saying, I am a person who can't do this. Because one is a statement about your identity, your core essence. It's in your DNA somehow, or the universe has struck that ability from you. The other is just a statement about the way things have been up until now. Do you understand the distinction between those two?
That distinction I understand.
Okay. And do you think it would be useful to, in any way, even a molecule, to be able to make that distinction for yourself?
Well, I do make the distinction for myself.
Good.
I just notice that occasionally I don't visualize or feel deeply or feel
I don't
deeply
either.
my body.
There are times when I don't either. When I'm exhausted, when I'm sick. When I'm sick, I lose my sex drive, man. I mean, I really can't do it. That's perfectly fine. So the question is, can we create a context for you within this weekend where you can do it, such that when we offer you the exercises, you can have the choice for yourself to go out and try it on? Because what I'd like to be able to do is create a context for you within these walls or out there in the hall, wherever you choose to go, as you choose to participate, where you can do it here in the room. And then if you decide you don't like it or it doesn't fit your self-concept, you can fucking trash it. But at least if you can create a context in here where you can try it on, number one, that's a sign of a really bright person, someone who's able to create contexts that work for them, even if it's only temporary. Even if it doesn't last and it's not who you are, at least you can pretend it long enough. Okay? So what I'm interested in exploring with you is if you believe it's possible, conceivable, not that you know how to do it right now, but do you think it's possible or conceivable that we could create a context for you within, you know, this seminar room for the weekend where you could access things?
Oh, certainly.
Okay, so you understand there's a distinction that I'm making here. I'm not saying
Oh, absolutely. I believe in any possibility. If I didn't believe in possibility, I
you wouldn't be here.
Well, I wouldn't be here. I don't think
Absolutely.
life would be rather boring.
Right. By the way, where did you come in from? Where did
Phoenix.
You come? So you hauled your butts and a few miles on a plane. So.
In a car.
And you drove?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, you drove from Phoenix?
Sure.
So what were you doing with your feelings in your body when you were cooped in a car for how many hours? Did you
I
drive
wasn't.
straight through?
Oh, I drove through. I just listened to your ugly voice
You listened to my ugly voice.
on the tape deck.
But you didn't feel anything in the car. You didn't feel your back against the seat, or you didn't feel
Sure.
leg cramps, or okay.
It's a trance.
It is a trance, and it's useful sometimes to find trances where you don't feel things. It's equally useful to find trances where you feel things even better. Okay, and really, intelligence is about learning to select which applies where. Okay. All right. Let me see. Where was I? Okay. So, when you were doing that exercise out there, you weren't accessing anything specifically in your body?
No body feelings.
No body feelings. Okay. But were you accessing any visual imagery?
Some, yes.
Some. Okay. On a scale of like 1 to 10, just a measured way of measuring where you were. How vivid were they? 0 is totally blurry, and 10 is like Technicolor, 3D, ecstasy.
They were sort of spotty, on and off, maybe 2, 3.
2 or 3. Okay. Okay, I can buy that. How about auditory? How are you with recalling things auditorily?
I'm not sure. I haven't really thought about it.
Can you hear the Star Spangled Banner? How does the Star Spangled Banner go? Can you do it in your head?
Yeah.
Do it in your head. Okay. You could do that much. Okay. My suggestion is, thank you very much. My suggestion for you is that I want to suggest to you that you only do that amount of things that are comfortable for you. By the way, let me ask you a question. Do you want to learn how to access body feelings at will? Is it something you really want to learn to do?
Yeah, I'd like to be able to control it.
Oh, okay.
The at will is the key.
At will. Let's talk about this. Now I'm hearing some things that are useful for leverage. Excuse me. That's something you don't control. Some things have to come out of your body without your control. Let's talk about this. And let me understand. Let me tell you something. I am not putting the frame around what we're doing here as a contest, a competition between you and me. The frame I'm putting around this is, what can I do to help you acquire skills and possibilities that you didn't have before, so you can get the most out of this? Because I don't want it to be a situation where you come in with your limits and you go, Ross, I have these limits, neener, you're not going to take them away from me. I'm going to ask for a refund at the end of the seminar. It's not a money thing for me, but to me that's a waste of my time and yours. If you want to put it on any level at the challenge in the challenge frame with me, in the contest frame with me, don't even bother, because you already win. I can't work on that level. You've already beaten me, because that is a frame that I cannot worm my way into. But what I can say to you is, let's agree to put it in the frame where we're gonna help each other. You're gonna help me be a better teacher, okay? And I appreciate the fact that you're honest with your responses. See, I admire that. You're not bullshitting. You're not being a sheep going, well, it worked for me, Ross, when it fucking didn't work for you. I admire that. That takes balls to sit up in front of a room of people and go, no, it didn't fucking work for me. So I can respect you at that level. I really can. So let's talk about that. You said at will. What does that mean? What does the word will mean for you? Because I don't know what you mean by will. Gordon Liddy, you know who he was?
Oh, yeah.
He would hold the flame under his hand. That was will for him. So what do you mean when you say at will?
To me, will is a conscious level of being able to say, yes, I want to access those feelings, or no, I'd like to shut those feelings off right now.
Okay, so by golly, I know you got the second part. You absolutely know how to shut things off.
Not necessarily.
Oh, you don't know how to shut things off.
A few weeks ago, I had a hard time shutting them off.
Okay. Was it a situation where you were experiencing something pleasant or unpleasant?
No, I speed seduced myself.
You speed
Well,
seduced yourself. What does that mean?
I was too successful in speed seducing a woman, and boomerang right back on me. Got me right there.
Oh, okay. So you did something with her, and as a result of you doing it with her effectively, you felt some of it for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I've got you now. I've got this guy. Okay. Now I've got the leverage I need to fuck him up. Now, my metaphor I use for working with clients is the first, I'm just getting them loosened up. I'm getting some leverage of them. I'm seeing how they're structured, where I've got some holes. I'm getting information. I'm loosening them up. You know, I'm kind of like unrigid. And now I got, okay. Watch this. I want you to pay attention. Okay. What is the difference between this and this? Shh. What's the difference between those two things? What's the difference? Tell me.
In the second case, the light bulbs make noise.
Noise is the only difference? Well, that is a difference. Let's go for the really important difference. Let's go back.
No,
Let me do
the
it.
difference is one's on and off, and the other is a scale.
That's
it's
right.
brighter.
That's right. That's right. So what if it was not a matter of feeling or not feeling? What if you had the ability to control the degree of intensity with which you felt? Because what I know about you is it's not that you don't feel things. It's that you feel things so extremely intensely that it makes sense to either shut them on or off because they're so strong you could lose control. But what if, before we got you feeling things, we could give you a rheostat so you could control the degree of intensity to which you felt something. So when you're doing speed seduction with a woman, she's feeling it at 100, but you're only feeling it at like 10. So you feel just enough to stay in rapport with her, but not so much that you lose control. Would that be more the kind of outcome you would like to have?
That would be a great outcome.
Yes. Do you believe him?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe him too. So we're going to show you that in an exercise coming up, okay? Very good. Have a seat. What was the key? He said will. Now, will is a nominalization. There is no such thing as will. Will means something different to each person. I don't believe in will. I believe in willingness. To me, that's more important, okay? But we're going to show you how to do that, how to build that. It's very important. Very important. All right, so did you all enjoy that exercise?
Yes.
Yes.
Who else had a challenge with it? I don't care to hear where it works. I want to hear where you had a problem. That's my orientation, because that's where I have a chance to get better at what I do. Yes, sir?
I already explained it to you out there when you said to rock back and forth. Instead
Yeah.
of doing a loop, it felt a little better, but it still didn't feel that. I didn't get the degree of intensity.
Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. I have come up here. I'm going to fuck you up too. And then we're going to bring Amy up, and then we're going to bring Jackie up because they're talking in class. You're out of here. I'm going to ask you something private. Can we just kill the sound for a second? You back? Now I noticed something about you. Well, you were describing this experience where it's all very calm, and then it gets here and it gets all staccato, and you like get sucked forward by it. It gets, what happens here?
I wouldn't use the word staccato, no. It's
Okay.
just sort of, I got kind of hung up on more of a change in color and a change
I didn't
in,
tell you to look at color. I told you just do feeling. I didn't say to visualize it.
But when I do visualize it, I see color. I can't help it visualize it that way. That's how I've always...
I want you to feel it. I don't want you to see it. I want
Okay,
you
but
to
the feeling is different as well. Like I was saying, down here when it first starts, it's more of like, sort of like a calmness, kind of a tranquility, and then it goes up to my head.
Can you
like-
do something for me? I'm not picking you. Can you speak slower when you describe something?
Oh, all right.
So,
So when it first begins down here in like the navel area, right below the navel area, and I guess what would be the second chakra, is that slow
no
enough?
terminology.
Okay, it's sort of slow spreading and kind of like a tranquil, kind of like calm feeling, like
Good.
if you're listening to New Age music or
Good.
the tinkling of wind chimes or something like that.
Yeah.
Sort of the feeling that you
Then
would
what?
get from there. And then it kind of jumps up into my head and becomes a very physical sense where my vision focuses in on one thing, my eyes kind of slightly narrow.
And this is a good feeling?
And I breathe.
Wait, this
I
is a
breathe
good
very
feeling?
deeply. Well, that's one of the things that I wanted to kind of bring up with,
Yeah.
with Major Mark, is that I don't know if this is necessarily that good or that positive, because it's almost like a much more...
Well, then the
order-
problem is your selection strategy.
That could very
Major?
well be.
The example he used was the feeling he might get if he saw Jennifer Lopez go walking by. Now, personally, if I see Jennifer Lopez walking by, I do get in a predatory kind of mode, okay? Which, so, maybe what you're using as an example is not the one that's most appropriate.
Yeah, let's think of it. We need to think of a different example for you. You ever seen something beautiful in nature that really moved you?
Yes.
Use that one. Close your eyes and run through that. Watch, I'll do the exercise. So remember that time when you saw something in nature that really moved you. Granted that Jennifer Lopez's ass is a miracle of the world.
Okay.
She's got quite a bouquet, doesn't she?
All right, I lost the nature scene. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I wonder why. Get it back. Thank you, Major. Major Mark, Major Mark, Major Mark, Major Mark. He had a major attitude. Okay. Got it back. Okay, where does the feeling start?
It still starts in the same place.
And then where does it go?
When I'm thinking of something very beautiful in nature that really moves me, it kind of is more of a...
No, don't do it on the abstract. As I think of this
as I think
particular
of it-
experience.
As I think of this particular experience or vision of nature, I feel more of just kind of an all-over sort of sensation.
Show me where it goes.
It's sort of it
Show me where it goes.
starts down here in the navel area, and it just kind of spreads upward at a much more even keel than the other way.
Good, and then what does it do?
And it then
Okay, that's
goes
all I
up.
need to hear. Go back to your seat and work on your own on this. Okay?
Could I address one more thing while I'm up here, though?
Yes.
Being as this is a speed seduction seminar, what I talked to Major Mark about, the sort of predatory way that I do, that it does tend to do that when I do that when I see a girl. And what I wanted to ask you is that a little too predatory, too
For
aggressive
you,
of an energy
you're
for
already,
that?
yes, your energy is way too predatory. You look like there's a wolf-like aspect to you.
Right. No,
I'm not making fun of you. I'm being
No,
deadly serious.
I totally agree, and that's why I brought it up. And I would like to be able to maybe shift.
Slow,
I'd like to be able to
slow down,
Maybe.
breathe, and pause.
shift to a more appropriate type of being able
We
to
can do that very quickly
access
for you.
for
I promise you.
seduction purpose.
I promise you we'll do that.
Okay.
Quick answer is yes.
Yes, I promise you. In fact, I'll do a little bit now. Close your eyes. See the image of yourself looking real confident, real cocky, whatever, and lean the image back away from you. Tilt it away from you. Imagine it's on a piece of glass, and I'm leaning the glass back away from you. Notice how that feels. Now lean the glass forward into your face. Now lean it back away from yourself again. Which makes you feel more relaxed and laid back?
Neither of them makes me feel relaxed. It seems very contrived and pointless when you're leaning it away, because I almost feel like it's going to drop and shatter.
It's got a support on it, so it won't drop. It's got a
Okay.
pneumatic hydraulic support. You can lean it as far back as you want to without it dropping.
Okay, well then leaning it back away from you would make me feel
Right,
more relaxed.
exactly. And when you lean it with a support, you root yourself into the ground. What you need is a way to ground yourself. Stand up. Stand up. Imagine there are roots growing through the balls of your feet, and your balls and the heel of your foot into the ground, spreading out into the ground 3 stories down. See those roots spreading down into the earth. And now try to feel all jumpy inside and tell me what happens.
It won't really come.
That's right, it won't. Okay, so you need now walk around as if you're rooted into the ground. Open your eyes and walk towards the back of the room, rooted into the ground. Look up, straight forward. Okay, sit down because we're taking too much time on this. All right, let's move on to the next one. The next one's going to be fun because it deals with my favorite thing, sound. I love sound. Now, I keep telling stories about clients, but it's true. I had a client call me on the phone, and he said, I still have this problem. When I approach beautiful women, I still get all nervous. I said, okay, I want to have your problem for a day. I want to be you. I'm going out to meet beautiful women. What's the first thing I do? He says, well, you go to a mall and you look around for beautiful women. I said, so far so good. What next? He said, well, you spot the beautiful woman. I said, so far so good. What next? He says, well, you say to yourself, I said, what? He says to yourself, and then you start talking to yourself. I said, hold it. You're dead in the water right there. Okay? Make that sound to yourself. Just go to yourself, Now, what circuitry does that open up in your mind? Does that open up the cocky, outrageous, adventurous circuitry in your mind? No. See, people say to you, watch what you say to yourself. Well, I'll go one further and one back from that. Watch the sounds you make on the inside before you start off on a sequence of thinking. Okay? Because those sounds will determine everything else that happens. Sounds open up different circuitry in your mind. What's the sound you make when you've had a sudden insight? Now watch this. Think of some problem in your life, something that's really puzzling you. Put your hand on your chin, cock your head, look up, and go, See if that begins to kind of loosen up the circuitry. The sounds you make on the inside and the sequence of the sounds you make will determine what states you begin to experience. By the way, all right. So we're going to play with some sounds. Okay. So I need another volunteer to pick on. Let's pick on you. Come on up. What was your name?
Mike.
Mike. Sit down, Mike. By the way, there will be no super bowel talk in the seminar. I hate the super bowel. Anyone heard talking about the super bowel will be ejected from the room. I hate the super bowel.
Me too.
Football is the most boring piece of shit game I've ever encountered. I hate football. Now, if you want to talk about women's volleyball, right. Okay, Mike, right?
Yes.
So we're gonna play some games. Mike, can you make this sound? Can you go? Yeah, pretty good. Put your hand flat on your chest. Make your chest resonate. I want you to do this. Everyone put their hands on their chest. Hands on the chest, please. On your own chest. You are bad, Dave. Your own chest. And now I want you to hum Amazing Grace. Can you feel it resonate through your hand? Can you feel it resonate against your hand? Keep humming. Keep going. Amazing Grace has got great tits that I would like to feel. She's going to rip off her brassiere, 'cause I'm slimy as an eel. Thank you. Okay, so you want to make a resonance. So go, put your teeth together, not too hard, and go, Very good. Now can you go, wow. Now can you say, let's go have some fun.
Let's go have some fun.
Like you're going to say, let's go have some fuck. I see it. Put them away. It's not having any impact. Let's go have some fun.
Let's go have some fun.
Okay, very good. Okay. Now, do you remember, did you watch cartoons when you were a kid?
I still do.
You ever watch Rocky? I did too. I mean, South Park has come along, but the old classics still hold up. Hey, Ken.
What's a dildo? Yeah, he's a dildo, all right. I love you guys. Screw you guys. I'm going home.
Beefcake, beefcake, do it.
Beefcake, beefcake.
Follow your goals, you can achieve.
I'm living proof.
Hey, Cartman. Okay. Well, remember Bullwinkle and Rocky?
Yes.
Bullwinkle and Rocky had a little theme song that went dun 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 dun. Can you do it?
Yeah.
Do it.
Dun 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 dun
Dun dun dun dun dun dun dun dun dun dun dun dun dun dun dun dun dun. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your hands and go dun 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 dun. Just do it. Does he look fucking silly or what?
That's great.
But you're very good. Okay. So what we're going to do is yeah, put your hands down. We're going to do a series of sequences. We're going to try different sounds to see what combination puts you in the best state for going out and Sergeant and HB. Does everyone know what Sergeant means? Named after one of my ex-cats, Sergeant. I went to live with my neighbor. Sergeant just means you're using the tools of speed seduction. Can I get it? We're going to start with different sequences of sounds and see which ones work best, okay? So let's start with, so we're going to call them Bullwinkle and Rocky. Wow. And let's go have some fun. Okay. What I want you to do is run through imagine there's a hot babe in front of you. Close your eyes. Or you don't have to close them, whatever is easier for you to imagine with. Okay?
Closed.
Okay. And first I want you to do Bullwinkle and Rocky, so do it out loud. Now say, wow.
Wow.
Now go, Now go, let's go have some fun.
Let's go have some fun.
Okay? Now, how does that sequence feel when it comes to getting you really motivated to go and walk up to that woman?
Pretty good.
Pretty good? Now, scale of 1 to 10, give it a subjective rating.
6.
6. Okay. Try a different sequence. Let's try wow. So go wow.
Wow.
Now, Now, let's go have some fun.
Let's go have some
And
fun.
now, Bullwinkle and Rocky. You are a silly shit, aren't you?
This is way down on the scale.
Huh?
This is down on the scale.
Like what?
It's like a 2.
Okay. Okay, good. All right. Now let's try starting with, see that beautiful babe? Now say, wow.
Wow.
Let's go have some fun.
Let's go have some fun.
Now do Bullwinkle and Rocky. Where's that one?
That was better, about an 8.
Okay. So that sequence was wow. Let's go. And Bullwinkle and Rocky. Okay, you like that one, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, where have we not started with? Okay, let's start with See the Beautiful Babe.
Okay.
Now let's start with Let's Go Have Some Fun.
Let's go have some fun.
Wow.
Wow.
Now Bullwinkle and Rocky.
That's not as good.
Okay. So I think the best sequence for you is wow. Let's go have some fun. And then Bullwinkle and Rocky. You like that one?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to break up into groups. A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B. Okay? A is going to lead B through the various choices. Okay? For each of these combinations, B is going to give you a subjective rating. You're going to lead him through it. Okay? So you're going to, okay, Bullwinkle and Rocky. Have them do it. Then say, wow. You understand what I'm saying? A leads B through the sequences. Okay? B, you do them, and B, you tell A on a scale of 1 to 10 how they rate, and then pick the one that works best for you, and then switch off. Do you understand the instructions? Go do it. Take about 10, 15 minutes. Run through it. A, B, A, B, A, B. Pick a different partner than you worked with before. Good job. All right. So let's talk about the sequences that work best. Tell me, someone, raise your hand. What sequence worked best for you? Somebody. Yes, sir. What's your name?
Tom.
Tom. What sequence worked best for you?
Bullwinkle? Wow, and let's go have some fun.
That worked best for you. Somebody else? Yeah.
Wow, Rocky Bullwinkle, and let's go have some fun.
Ah, you know, mine is dun 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 dun. Wow. Let's go have some fun. That's mine. Go ahead. Somebody else. By the way, do you have to limit yourself to the sounds that I supply you? No. Try some other ones out.
We used the He Didn't Know It here, and we used Mission Impossible, Team Permission.
Oh, cool. How did that do? Well, you know what also works? You know the sacred sound Om? You know what that is? That's oh and yum put together. Om. Who else? Somebody else. Somebody else. Claire.
Mine was wow. Let's go have some fun and Rocky and Bull.
Okay. See what these circuits do. What circuits, when you go dun 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 dun, what circuitry is that opening up in your mind? Right. How about when you go wow? Right. How about That's like some aggression there with some sexuality in there. Very good. Good. Now, when you say let's go have some fun, notice you don't say you go have some fun or I'll go have some fun. It's let's go have some fun, presupposing that all the different parts of you are moving together. Every little bit counts. Somebody else. Sutomo, did you do this?
Yes.
What sequence worked best for you?
I found that Bullwinkle and Rocky needs to be out of the picture. I need to be as far away from the approaching woman as possible. Number one observation. And that I took it that this was as we approached the woman, so to speak. What was me?
Yeah, that's right.
So wow and whom I could relate to the other two.
Well, I mean, when you do Rocky and Bullwinkle, do you consider that to be too silly, or what is it?
Yeah, it reminds me of like jumping up and down on the bed with my ex-girlfriend's 2-year-old boy, and like.
And you know what? I'm saying inserting some of that into your approach may actually be a lot more appealing than you might think at first. Do just try it just to see what kind of results you get. If you don't like them, throw them away, put them in the shit can. But try it, because that kind of ability to be a little goofy and a little silly, just a little bit, can add a lot to your success. A lot. It's up to you. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other if you do or you don't. Yes, Rick.
Yeah, what you say that
Can we hear him? Does he need a mic? Do we need to do a Donahue on him, Yates? Do we need to do a Donahue on him? This is Rick, the Czechoslovakian twin banger.
What you're saying is absolutely true, because I found that one of the problems that guys have with walk-ups, and you were talking about this earlier, is that it becomes, to them, this walk-up on this particular chick is so important that, it counts for everything. And they build themselves up there, and by the time they get there, they're just prepared to fail. I mean, this is the most important event in their life at the moment that they walk up. And this event cannot be important if you're thinking about Rocky and Bullwinkle. I mean, and if they feel like you don't care, guess what? They go, oh, this guy doesn't care whether, I mean, and women are extremely intuitive. They can feel what you feel when you're walking up.
Right.
They know if you're nervous. They know if you're playing.
And they also know if you're over intent. Even if you're not over nervous, if you're over intent, if you're just too intent on making it happen right there, right now, you'll push them away. Metaphysically, you're leaning forward. Metaphysically, when you want something so intently that you've got to have it, it's like leaning forward like this in a fight. You have no balance, and you're going to get your ass kicked. Now, if you really want to see an extreme example of being silly in pickups, come out some night with me and fruitcake here. We were in La Jolla one night, and I said, we're going to meet women by being flamingly gay, remember? And I was like sitting down the street going, come on. We walk by these HPs and says, come on, Evan, my court-appointed psychiatrist says you must be honest with me. Doesn't these pants make my apples fat?
Honey, fat is such a harsh word to say about your athletes.
We want to hear it. For those of you who take yourself so seriously with women, I have an assignment. For you, okay? Who's familiar with NLP? Have you ever heard of the swish pattern? What's the swish pattern in NLP? You take one picture and you this is my swish pattern. For those of you who take yourself too seriously, if you see a real hot babe, walk up and go, excuse me, precious. I am so sorry to interrupt you. I have to tell you, you are like butter. Look at your skin. Give me a hug, you little wave kid. I'm so hysterically. You see me do it. I laugh. I go, what is your name? Oh my God, your boyfriend is not a PR. I'm PK like my boyfriend. Don't they think the world revolves around that little worm? And they're going, oh yeah, he's an asshole. He's out of here, Susan. The guy's halfway decent. I know what you mean, sweetheart. And you know, there's something I must tell you. I have to make a confession, which is that I'm not really gay. I had to see if you had a sense of humor to match those fantastic, great looks. And they either freak out or they bust up laughing and think it's the most greatest thing they've ever seen. Okay, just do it, just to show yourself that you don't have to take it fucking seriously. And particularly if she looks real uptight and on guard, you know, those kind of girls, act like you're a flame. Right up. What I call the switch pattern.
You've really done it.
Oh yes, fuck yeah, I've done it. You can't take this seriously, man. You take this seriously. Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
So you need to, you know, someone else tell me a sequence that's worked for them. Who else? No? No one else? Yeah. Loki.
I did wow, rock and roll, and then let's go.
Cool, cool. So the important thing is to learn to put these things in different sequences, in different orders to create different states. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, what we're going to do is, Major Mark, can we have you in here for a momento, please? I thought at this point, since we're working at building up your attitude and all that other good stuff, we're going to have Major Mark take over for a while.
I do have to tell you that I get calls all the time from guys who have listened to this induction. They have listened to it in live seminars, they've bought the tape series, and usually Cassie comes and hands me this cordless phone. She got this puzzled look on her face. She says, I think this is one of your guys. Okay? I go, hi, Mark Cunningham. Jesus fucking Christ, that induction is fucking amazing. I'm going, when did you hear it? 6 months ago, but I got it, you know? It's a way of setting off mind bombs. Okay? It's a walk through my unconscious. Okay? And what it is, it's a teaching story. Okay? It's a teaching example. It's a hypnotic induction. It requires that you are willing to go into trance. Now, as I said this morning, you have responsibilities. Your responsibilities are to relax. Have your feet on the floor, arms and legs uncrossed. Oh, I like this. You are getting conditioned. Place your wallet on the table in front of you and close your eyes. As you feel your hand drifting to your wallet. Yes. Okay, and what will happen is this takes about 20 minutes, which is about 3 years shorter than it took me to figure it out. Okay, and all you have to do is relax. You'll hear the sound of my voice. It's not important that you listen to the content of what I'm saying. The part of you that listens for content is not the part I want to talk to. So instead, arms, legs uncrossed. Maureen, thank you. All right, here we go. Take a deep breath, hold it for a moment, and let it go with a sigh. Close your eyes. Go all the way down. Deeply relax. With each deep, regular breath, you can begin the process. The process of allowing yourself to relax and learn. Each and every time you allow yourself to go into hypnosis, you will go deeper. Your body will relax. Your mind will drift into a dreamy, drowsy, relaxed state right on the threshold of sleep. And right on the threshold of sleep, all you would need to hear, all you would need to see, all that you would need to experience will come to you in just the way that allows your unconscious to now begin to accept commands and suggestions that, so long as they are beneficial to you, will become your reality upon awakening. So take another deep breath, let it go with a sigh. That's right. And begin to listen now. A long time ago, when when I was a young man, I began to do the things that young men do. I ran, I jumped, I puzzled things out. And as men are wont to do, I joined a gang. Now, like all gangs, we had rules of behavior, standards of performance, and we had a color. Some gangs choose blue, some gangs choose red. This gang chose green. Everything was olive green. And at that point in time, we had a rule. The rule was, if it moves, salute it. If it doesn't move, paint it. So everything was green. Our clothing, our vehicles, and of course, the weapons, the tools that we brought to the task at hand. Now, I joined up because there was a long tradition, one following after another, all the way down through the family, of service, volunteering, stepping up and saying, I'm the one who's going to have the experience now. And I went into what they call basic training. It's an interesting concept. A concept that tells you there are skills that everyone must know. Basic building blocks that you must have in order to succeed, to remain safe, to get the things done that you need to do. Now you can go on to what they call advanced individual training, where you learn even more specialized information, specialized behaviors, new tools. But while I was training, I had something happen. Something that turned out to be wonderful. One day, my company commander called me into the office. And it was a great office, typical Army office. It had a desk. It had 2 chairs. It had my company commander. It had my senior drill. And I had 2 guys wearing suits. They called me in. They said, Cunningham, do you like the Army? And I was well trained. I said, sir, yes, sir. And there was a silence. And my company commander looked at me and said, Cunningham, do you like the Army? And I said, well, permission to speak frankly? And he said, that's what I thought. There are these gentlemen here who would like to talk. They have an idea about something better. And I found myself recruited into an organization that didn't even exist, that went places that we never went, to do things that never occurred. And they said, we looked at your file, and it seems like you're a real bright boy, and you've got some skills that we can use. How would you like to fly all over the world, get an absolutely first-class, guaranteed, get-out-of-jail-free card, and get paid? And I said, who do I have to fuck to get this job? And they said, come on down. So I went to this place called the farm. We didn't grow crops. We grew spooks. And because I knew how to shoot really, really well, I knew how to take my instinct and my training and combine them into effective action. They trained me to do things that you don't normally allow people to do. Because once in a while, it's very important to do something outside the rules, outside normal events. And so I became a shooter for an organization that didn't exist, a specialist in effective action. And they gave me tools. And the interesting thing is, the tools they gave me always got delivered in just the same way. Gleaming steel cases. You open them up, and inside, still smelling of factory oil, were precision tools. Tools that would allow me to do my job, to do it well, with precision, with accuracy, and determination. Now, in order to go places that you never go, to do things that you aren't allowed to do, they create a new identity. And these identities have a name. They call it a legend. Now, a legend is a collection of facts, a collection of notations, a record of someone that you are about to become. And as part of this legend, they give you opportunities to appear in new ways, to behave in new ways, to go places you've never been before. And because of where I was going to go, oftentimes people would sort things according to other rules and categories. There were things called ranks and divisions of authority. At some levels, you could do one set of behaviors, and at other levels, you could do even more. So when I set out to move and work and behave in ways that looked like Army behavior, I needed to have a rank. And the way the ranks go is they start down in the bottom with privates. Now, privates can mean a lot of different things, but here it's just a way of beginning. And then you can rise up in the ranks, through the non-commissioned ranks, on up into lieutenant and captain. Or you could start at the top with generals and colonels. But right in the middle, there's a very, very interesting person to be. And that person is called the major. It's one of the ranks that's very senior in the field and relatively minor in the rear echelon. It's a rank that can be almost anything. And so that's the time I decided, even though it appeared impossible, that I wanted to be a major. And the legend of Major Mark began. It was a time of conflict that was harsh, seemingly insoluble. And what they did was they sent me to something they call in-country. In-country, at that time, was a war zone, a zone in which it was filled with interesting things, highly competent people, and absolutely no rules. I wonder if you can imagine a place with absolutely no rules, where there's only actions and consequences. You do things, and things happen, and you decide, can I handle this? Is this good for me? Did I get the outcome I wanted? And they moved me around. We moved around on helicopters, choppers. The whole damn thing was set up for mobility. We used to laugh that if we could just find, we could find fix, fuck them, and get home for beer. And the thing was, I started to get hung up on mobility. I'd hear the chopper coming in, and at the time, the rotor blades were very flat, so you could hear them coming from miles away, appearing over the horizon. And I'd hear the chopper, and I'd start to get excited. I'd start to get excited about, I want to get on. Let's go. Let's go someplace different. Any place different is better than this. We thought that if we could just keep moving, that no one could ever get us. It was a belief, very common, and it was a mistake because we didn't understand. We thought that forward motion was just the same as progress. But you know, that's not true. Motion has to be directed. It has to be in service of a goal. And when you find yourself moving towards your goal, it gets closer, closer, and closer as you begin to feel better, better, and better. And I find myself in places I'd never been before. We'd go to places called fire bases, where we'd fly in, chop the top off a hill, put up some huts, set up our defenses in order to protect ourselves. And inside the defense would be red clay. There'd be the sickly sweet smell of the burning honey barrels. And everywhere you'd see people walking with intent, walking with purpose, getting ready. Because one night, as I was inside the base, safe and secure, the other guys hit the wire, and all of a sudden, a very large number of highly trained, highly motivated, heavily armed people were trying to kill all of us. And I said, holy shit, that's a bad thing. And that's right. And so I was crouched down in the trench, and you could hear the mortars coming in. You could hear the crunk, crunk, crunk of the mortars firing right outside the water, and the sharp crack of the explosion. You could hear the chatter of the rifles, and the crack of the bullets as it went by. And once in a while, like punctuation, you'd hear the crash of the rockets coming in. And so there I was, in the bottom of my trench, holding my weapon, firing like a madman. And all of a sudden, I turned, and there next to me was sitting a trooper. And he was fishing out a cigarette, flicking his Zippo, kicking back. And I was screaming at him. I said, what the fuck are you doing? Get up here, help me kill these bastards. He just looked at me, and he said, they're trying to kill them, not us. And stop me. I said, what? And then I realized, it's true. I had made a mistake. I had allowed myself to think, way back then, that external reality was the same thing as what was going on inside, when in fact, external reality is only out there. It couldn't hurt me. It couldn't help me. It just was. And so I calmed down. I got down to business, and we survived through the night. Now, it's also true that I made a decision, a commitment, that first thing in the morning, I was down at the pad. I was waiting for a chopper, any chopper, going anywhere to get out of a bad place. Because sometimes it's better to keep moving than to stay stuck where you were. I got on this one chopper, had this hot black pilot. He was so slick I couldn't believe it. So I asked him, I said, hey Slick, I said, where'd you learn to be like this? He looked in my eye and he said, once I had scales and now I'm smooth. I said, yeah, I hear you, brother. That's the way it goes. Because I started hanging out with these guys that were involved in what they call special warfare. They were special forces, enormously competent men, each experts in what they did. And the interesting thing is, they all had to learn to do everything else so that one man could step forward and easily take the place of the next, knowing more things, useful things they could use to get by. And I started to wonder, why is it we thought that competence was somehow special? You have to ask yourself, isn't a competence something that we need? Isn't competence and skill the thing we need in order to get by? Now, I don't know what answer you'll have, but as you look deep inside, you might begin to find an answer. And the way it worked is they would come to us and they would say, we have a task. You have a mission. And they would explain what needed to be done in a very simple way, outlining this task at this time with this desired outcome. And then we'd go off and we'd sit and we'd think. We would allow a plan to form, a plan that would allow us to move all the way through the mission and get the outcome we need. And when we knew with an absolute certainty, deep inside ourselves, that we knew what needs to be done, we'd do a brief back where we would lay it out in such a clear and compelling way that everyone could understand what was going to happen, how it would happen, and what would happen afterwards of that. And as we did that, we would build such a clear and compelling future that all we'd have to do is go out, do the things that needed to be done, and we'd get our outcome, just like that. Now, it could lead me into interesting places. Sometimes we'd travel on helicopters, sometimes in trucks. Sometimes we take long walks through one of the more interesting climates on the planet, where it's too hot, it's too humid, it's full of rotting vegetation that have been rotting for thousands of years. And even if you ignored the highly trained, highly motivated people who wanted to do very bad things, you could still see that there were little things, snakes, bugs, or simple mistakes that could trip you up. And one day, I found myself on top of a hill. Not surprising, really. Snipers love hills, because when you get up there, when you get that sense of perspective, you can begin to see clearly exactly what needs to be done. And so one morning, there I was, on top of a hill. Security was out. My spotter was lying beside me. We'd made our map. We knew exactly what was supposed to happen, because at the bottom of the hill, there was a village. And inside the village was a headman who had been passing information to people who wanted to do us harm. Harm to my friends, harm to my associates, harm to me. And so, because it's a very, very bad thing to allow the military to get in the habit of shooting civilians, they decided they needed someone like myself. And there I was, looking down, paying attention. And the headman, far below, began to give a speech. And as he did so, I was watching through my scope, looking for detail, paying attention, noticing how things unfolded. But all of a sudden, things started going wrong. I was going, what the hell is this? Because in the village, people were running around. They were waving their arms. They were shouting. They were pulling out weapons. And a sizable number of them were running right towards my hill. And being a wide awake, astute young man, I said, what the fuck is this? And I look through my scope, and instead of seeing the village, what I see is this blurry pink and green thing. I snap my head up, and here I see the senior sergeant of my protective detail running up the hill, screaming, "Sir, take the shot, sir!" And I said, "Oh yeah, that's right. You gotta pay attention. You gotta listen to simple commands. You gotta do what needs to be done, and then keep moving." So I waxed his ass. We dropped the weapons, and we ran all the way back to the place where it was safe, and we could get out in order to get things done. Better, better, and better. Because the thing is, you do that often enough, and you find out that you get a reward. Now, my reward was they sent me back to the world. And I went from a place where there was nothing but heavily armed, highly aggressive, well-armed men, to a place called East Lansing, Michigan. And I found myself in the space of 48 hours, going from a war zone to a college campus. A college campus where there were 42,000 kids. 24,000 of them were young women, healthy, intelligent, friendly. I went from a place where life was a hallucination to a place where I had to be hallucinating because it felt so good. And I lived in this place, a house with 30 other students. And this was an old house. It was 4 stories tall with a full basement. And it was an old house. So all through the walls, they had speaking tubes. Tubes that used to be used to call servants, calling for help, sending messages from one part to another. And the first night I was there, I was laying in my bed, and I began to hear voices. And I thought, voices? Hell, I thought I'd left the zone. But no, what happened was there was a party going on down below. And so I figured it out. I decided to go on down, have some fun, feel really good, and then catch some sleep and do the things I needed to do. And you find things happening, interesting things. Like I was walking down the street, minding my own business, and all of a sudden, I saw this fire truck driving by. Now, firemen know an important thing. They know that you always have to have your tools with you, because you never know when you might need them. It's important to have your tools ready all the time. So these guys were going off, and they were probably going to the grocery store, or maybe they were running an errand, or just moving from one place to another, from one place where they were to the place they needed to be. And as they were going by, they were looking out the window at all the healthy young people, and they began to wave. And I thought, this is interesting, because as they drove along, it was like they were looking for something. And I started to think, there's really no point riding around looking for trouble, because trouble exists. Trouble, if it's meant to be, will find you. In the meantime, you can just relax. Let go. Enjoy yourself, so long as your tools are handy. And you know that you've been trained. You can easily find the ways to bring yourself into effective action. And sometimes the best thing you can do is just relax. Get ready. Look for the change. And as the change occurs, you can step even deeper into it. Have some fun. Learn something new.
take care of business. That's right. Now, I find myself in a state where very often Major Mark wants to come out and play. And I used to think that this was a less than positive thing, because Major Mark knows how to do some things that really aren't appropriate for civilian life. But Major Mark knows how to get things done. Major Mark does not admit to obstacles, speed bumps perhaps, momentary misunderstandings, but the outcomes that are selected always come to be. That's right, in just the way they need to be, at just the time, at just the places where you can learn to take effective action. It's like all throughout your life, you've learned interesting and useful things. You've learned how to change. You've changed your thoughts. You've changed your attitudes. And you've changed your behaviors. Change itself is subject to change. But the one thing that remains true is how you can put it all together. Now, I want you to imagine that you're sitting in front of a table. Spread out on the table are thousands of pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. And as you look at all the pieces, you might have asked yourself, how do all these things fit together? But there's a way of understanding. You look for the pieces that form the frame, that form the border, because as you put these pieces together, you can define the space within which it all comes together. You look for clues. Some things are similar, some things are obvious, some things come to you in an intuition. You just know exactly where it fits. And as you take each piece, and with calm, deliberate action, snap it into place, a picture begins to emerge. A picture that is made up of all the parts, all the pieces coming together in just the way they need to be. So, as your unconscious mind begins to finish the process, taking each and every piece, snapping it into place, allowing yourself the satisfaction of seeing it all emerge, you can begin to understand. That's right. There's the possibility that for you there are far greater possibilities than you'd ever imagined before. The possibility that you can learn to relax, enjoy your life far more, and to dream the dreams of the man you're about to become. Now, I don't know what it is that will bring this change into sharp focus for you. It could be something as simple as a thought passing through your head as you take a shower, or as you click on the light switch, bringing the inner light of awareness to the process of understanding deeply the things that you are beginning to learn. But whatever it is for you, whatever is right for you now, you can find the way to put it all together, to have your tools in place, to be relaxed, happy, confident in your training, and knowing that you're the one who's dreaming the life that begins now. In a moment, I'll ask you to return all the way back to the room. But you can do so only as slowly as you begin a process that is unconscious and automatic. A process that allows you to take individual pieces of knowledge, new skills, new learnings, and put them together in a way that's right, just right for you, as you begin this, the first day for the rest of your life. That's right. Now, as I count from 1 to 3, I want you to take a deep, deep breath, beginning with 1. Take a deep breath, feel the energy returning to your body. 2, open your eyes, look around the room, notice the color and form. And 3, allow yourself to return all the way back. I want you to stand up. Stand up. I know you feel all relaxed as though you had a nice little nap. I want you to shake it out. And wonder, how the hell does he get paid to do this? Huh? That's it.
Brother Riker, he's the attack dog who, let's boo him, boo. No. Okay,
That's always
I
great.
know you wanted to come up and talk about some of the initial challenges guys face and the ethical issues, because some of you are crazy enough to have ethical issues with this, so go ahead and talk about it. And maybe later in the weekend, if you want to do a bit on seducing women on AOL.
Okay.
Would you like to hear about that?
Okay.
So, but address the ethical issues and how you first connected with the material.
Found and connected with you.
Yeah.
How many guys think they're here to learn something to fool a woman into sleeping with them? Get over on them. Really? I mean, come on. You think you're going to learn some technique to fool a woman or convince her or something like that?
Convince, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Convince is a good way to put it. Fool is not. And here's why. This is one thing a lot of guys get into when they first learn about this. When I first encountered Ross and learned about speed seduction, I really had a question about this. And it had to do had to do with the ethics of this. Is this ethical? Is this something that's good? Is this something that's right? Okay. Let me give you a little hint. Women are wired very, very well. Women are much more in tune with being intuitive, with knowing what you're thinking. Sometimes even when you don't know what you're thinking, women can pick up on the fact that if you think you're going to get one over on them, you're going to fool them, okay? You're going to make them do something they don't want to do. They're going to be able to pick up on that and perceive that. So first thing, a real key to being successful with this is really honestly believing yourself that what you're doing is right, what you're doing is ethical, and really what you're doing honestly is something that's for her own good anyway. Okay? So it's important that you be convinced that these tools, these skills are very ethical and very good to use. Now, let me tell you what you're up against out there. Okay? Women use these tools and use these techniques that Ross is going to be talking about. They use these things naturally. Women are taught to be flirts. Women are taught how to go out and meet and attract guys. They start this when they're very young. They know how to talk. They know how to bat their eyes. They know how to look sideways. There's all these little things. And whether they're overtly taught it or whether they just learn this from their girlfriends or whatever, they are taught skills that work on you. And let's face it, guys are easy to get because you're very visually oriented. So women know how to look, they know how to act, they know how to speak, they know what to do to their hair, with their makeup, okay? These are all things that women are doing to get you or to get guys interested, guys that they think that they want, okay? Now, if you think that maybe learning how to present yourself and learning how to speak is unethical or it's not you, okay, look at it this way. What does a woman do when she gets up in the morning for about a half hour before she leaves the house? Put on makeup. Right. She's putting on makeup. She's doing her hair.
But I do that for myself.
She's putting on makeup. She's doing her hair. She's wearing a dress. Women are taught this stuff. And why do they do it? They'll sit there and they'll say, I put on makeup so that I feel better about myself. Come on. Why do they really do that? To look more attractive. And in a lot of ways, to look more attractive to men. Okay? It's a face that they're putting on. They do their hair in the same sort of way. Women learn and are taught. What do? They get their colors done. Why? To look better and to mainly look better for men.
And not only that, there's a multi-billion-dollar industry devoted to assisting them in doing this. The cosmetic industry.
Exactly.
And you've got the Wonder Bra. You've got support hose. They even have artificial, now they have in the bra silicone breasts. They have fake butts. I mean, you name it, they've got it. So it's okay for them to have entire multi-billion-dollar industries devoted to this.
And the irony is, that's okay, but supposedly people think that You know, and you can admit it. There's people who think that learning this is kind of seedy, or I'll bet half of you didn't tell your friends where you were going this weekend, right? Okay, right. That's a bunch of crap, right? It's true. I'll bet half of them didn't. I'm going to a sales seminar to learn how to be persuasive. Okay. Women, dresses. You know, the whole thing about vertical stripes versus horizontal stripes. Women wear vertical stripes. It makes them appear taller and thinner as opposed to horizontal stripes. Dark clothes make you look thinner than light clothes do. Women know these tools, these things like that, and use that. Let's face it. If a woman's going to naturally present herself as who she is, she'd roll out of bed, she'd take a shower, she'd spend no time on hair and makeup, she'd throw on what was comfortable and leave the door.
Just like us.
Okay?
Yeah,
do they
like
do that? No. Why? Because for them, a big part of feeling good about themselves is feeling attractive to men. Okay? All that you are doing is learning a similar thing, a similar set of tools that tend to appeal to what women like. Men are easy. They are. I mean, they're visually oriented. The keys to getting men are very easy. Look good, be thin, wear certain things, talk and act a certain way.
Suck the chrome off a trailer hitch.
Exactly.
And have your dad own a chain of donut stores.
On the other hand, women are hard to figure out. Because let's face it, and I'll tell a story from how I learned this.
Yeah.
When I was in college, I remember sitting there one time, this was when MTV was in its infancy, and I was sitting there in an apartment I shared with like 4 other guys, and I was sitting there with a female friend, because I was that nice guy that they always like to be their friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. So we're sitting there watching MTV, and here comes Lionel Richie on MTV, and he's sitting there all night long, and he's singing and doing it, and she looks at him and she goes, wow, he is so sexy, he is so good looking. Now, this is not a comment on him being black. It has nothing to do with that. But Lionel Richie is not a good-looking man. I'm saying he's very talented. Okay, he's a wonderful songwriter, but he is not a good-looking man, not at all. But she is sitting there and perceiving him as being attractive. And I sat there, and I remember that moment. I sat there and I thought, there is something else happening. There is a process that women go through when they're looking at a man, and it's not necessarily how this man looks and how this man looks. There's something that she's going through in her head that makes her perceive him as being attractive, and it's not necessarily the shape of his nose or mouth or of his face, but it's how it's perceived. All that Ross is, it's a lot more than that simple, but what Ross has figured out is a way to present yourself, and that's really what you're doing. To present yourself and to talk to them in a way that's interesting, that's compelling, to sort of frame yourself in her mind so that she is able to see you in that manner. And one of the things, you probably went over in the morning the 3 big aspects of this, which are the language patterns, the conversational framework to link the language patterns together, and also creating a state in your own mind for yourself. One of the byproducts you're going to see of everything you're learning this weekend is not only are you going to learn how to present yourself to a woman, but by learning these skills, you are going to be more of an interesting person. You will not only present yourself in a better way, you'll have a better person to present to her.
Yes. Now, what I'd like you to do is just, this is all very broad and vaguely chunked out. Let's get to some specifics. Let's get to some meat. In a nutshell.
Okay.
In a nutsack. Let's get to the meat. Let's talk about the first couple of times you used this and what happened. Like, basically, remember was it in Rolling Stone, or what was the story where at first Riker had serious ethical quandaries with his superpowers. Talk about those first few experiences where it worked for you.
It was amazing. Well, one of them was Bridget. And this is what you're not going to be prepared for, and it's going to be wonderful when it happens. Is that I dealt with a woman women are so good at doing this. I start talking to her about, geez, those some people that you meet that you just feel so connected with, almost as if there's this bond that you have with this person that's just timeless. She starts throwing this back at me and talking about this. And talking about feeling connected to someone. And this was like the first or second woman I encountered. And I'm sitting there going, whoa. And she turned it sexual much more than I was. She turned it very sexual very quickly. And it was very exciting and something that I hadn't experienced before. And with her and with the first one or two, I did have some ethical, concerns or issues. But the thing is, the ones that are really, the guys that become very successful with this, in my opinions, are the ones that, if you're talking about feeling incredibly connected to somebody, and there's a basic pattern which you'll probably get into, where you're talking about that feeling of connection with a person. It's most effectively delivered when you really do feel connected, when you have experienced that for yourself, you're describing it and you're talking about it. And that's what happened. The first couple times, I didn't know the patterns, I didn't know the words exactly. I was talking about that. And I was totally bowled over by the response. I went through a very big quandary about this early on, but believe me, you are up against a lot of things that women are doing and doing to you. There's nothing unethical about this. There will be a couple guys in this room, and there are some guys that just want to learn these techniques to get over on chicks, to pull one over on them. And you know what? To a degree, they can use that, and to a degree, that can work. But I'll tell you, women are very perceptive, and they can smell those guys a mile away. And a lot of times they'll know. They'll come off as seedy, they'll come off as too slick, as dishonest, and it tends to not work that well. But that nice guy, that nice, sweet guy who's had all those women friends all his life, that's been the buddy, the one they feel comfortable with, you're just like a brother. I really like you, but not in that way.
Well, it depends. If the girl's from Kentucky and she says you're like a brother, you're in there.
But that guy who's genuine, who's being honest about talking about these things, they really feel connected with somebody like that.
And by the way, if you get divorced in Tennessee, the woman is still legally your sister.
The trick is you're not learning a trick. You're not learning something to get one over on. What you are learning, what you'll get by the end of the weekend, is you're just finding a way to present yourself in a way that allows her to see who and what you really are.
Yeah.
The side benefit is you're going to become more of that man, especially due to what Major Mark just did with you. You're going to become more and more of that type of man that they are going to find interesting and are going to find compelling. Right. And it affects so many areas of your life you won't believe it.
True. He's used this in business, big time, right?
Yeah.
To divide up $100,000 without any.
Yeah.
What was the story?
Dividing up a big award amongst people at the company, job interviews. That worked tremendously well. Your resume isn't really what we're looking for, but everyone agrees there's something about you. We really want to hire you. We're not sure what you do.
Tell them the languaging you use to get them to think that way.
And they said, well, do you have any questions for us? And I'd sit there and say something like, well, I know that you've seen my resume, and I know that you've talked to a lot of other candidates, and some other people that you may or may not be interested in, as I'm motioning away. But I'm wondering, you probably have a picture in your mind as I draw a frame around my face. You probably have a picture in your mind of that ideal candidate, the ideal person that you're looking for, that you really want to bring in and hire this person. Now, I'm wondering, when you think about that person you want to bring in, what are the qualities that you see in that candidate that makes you convince yourself that this is somebody that you want to hire? And they'll sit there and they'll list the qualities. I'm eliciting their values, and what they see is the ideal candidate. You feed that back to them. Okay, and then there's the question of having fun with women they send over from the temporary service at work, but I won't do that on camera. But yeah, you can use these in business.
Probably not wise.
But you can use these skills in business and many areas of your life. It's wonderful.
You see it that way. All right, give him a hand. Okay. Thank you, guys. So, I know this is chunked kind of broadly. I know you're chomping a bit. We want details. We want to know exactly how to do this. So is that what you're feeling right now? Yeah. Yeah. Well, you have to wait till tomorrow and Sunday. It's called Building Response Potential. So we are at the point where we're almost ready to wrap up for the evening. So let me talk about a couple of things. I know what we've done today is open up some sense of new possibility for you. What we've done today is just focus on sort of deframing you, taking away the traditional ways of thinking, taking away your traditional ways of how you think about learning, and how you think about interacting with women. And tomorrow and Sunday, we're going to begin filling in the details to give you hands-on, step-by-step things that you can do to begin to wire this in. We're going to go from start to finish, from the moment you first look at her to what you say, to how you get the next meeting, to what you do during those meetings. We'll give you a couple of sequences you can learn to run through. We'll teach you one of my favorite things to do, which is how to run these things over the phone. Okay? And then we're going to have some specialties. We're going to have Kamal come up and talk about how he does his trance hijacking. Doc Dave will talk about how he seduces women in the gym. I don't know if Tony Blake is going to be here or not. If he is, he'll talk about how he seduces strippers. Evan may want to come up and talk about how he attempts to seduce strippers. Is Pagan here? I don't know if he's here. So anyway, when the student called me on the phone, he said, Ross, I still get this fear that I'm going to get shot down when I talk to women. I said, what if instead of viewing it as you being an airplane that you could either get shot down and crash in flames or get cleared to come in for a landing or fly freely, you just thought to yourself, this is just an opportunity for her to demonstrate what kind of woman she is. And when I said that to him, I know changes began to take place. I know that certain things began to shift and move around, and the things that used to keep him trapped were things he couldn't even get to anymore. It was no longer possible for him to process things in the way he used to. It sort of reminds me of a conversation I had with one of the most interesting and brilliant people I know. Now, he just happens to be 6 years old, but that's okay. He's my nephew, Eitan. And I was over there a couple of nights ago visiting with Eitan. And he said, Kaka, they call me Kaka. They do. They call me Kaka. Kim's a witness to this. All the kids, all the grandkids call me Kaka. All my nieces and nephews. He said, Kaka, are you going to be giving me another one of your crummy seminars? A prophet is without honor in his own home. And I was thinking of busting him in the mouth, but you know, he's a cute little kid. And he smiled that gap-toothed smile. Now, he has got a lot of missing teeth. He's 6 years old, and he's at the stage where the baby teeth are falling out. Now, I don't know if you can remember when you were, 6, 7 years old and your teeth were starting to fall out. I would hide my smile, but he likes it. He likes to walk up to people like this and go, and show him the gaps. He'll stick his tongue through. But I noticed this evening he was having a little bit of discomfort. One of the teeth was really hurting him. And his mother was talking to him about that. And she said, well, what happens, Eitan, is that when the teeth are no longer needed, when the old teeth are no longer necessary, they fall out. And you're going to have some gaps there. You're going to have some blank spaces where things are missing. And that's okay. Because what will happen in their own time, in their own way, the adult teeth are going to grow in. Now sometimes when the new things grow in, there's some pain, there's some discomfort. And she explained to him that sometimes the spacing between the teeth is not even. And when this gap is not quite right, what will happen is the tooth has to sort of force its way in, and there's a little bit of pain, there's a little bit of discomfort, and he understands that. And so he views those holes in his mouth as something to watch, to look at, to notice how the growth is starting to happen day by day, bit by bit, till one day he's going to wake up and his smile will be full and complete again. And I think that's a very good lesson to learn. I think we can all learn from Eitan. We can learn not to call my seminars crummy. But I think that's a really good lesson to understand that we've all had that experience of having things that had a use. We worked with them, we chewed with those teeth, they had their purpose, and then eventually it's time for them to fall away. We don't need them anymore. And it takes time for the new teeth to grow in. Now, he said to me, can you use your hypnosis crap to make my teeth grow in faster? And I said, no, certain things have to grow at their own rate. You can sit there and stare at the tooth and stare at the tooth, but it's you have to let it take place at its own time. Now, one of the things he noticed is some of the teeth had fallen out earlier, but they're not growing in as fast as the ones that fell out later. The ones that fell out later, that just recently fell out, are already starting to grow in. So they're not growing in evenly. Sometimes growth doesn't take place at an expected rate. It doesn't always take place evenly, and that's okay.
Yesterday when we were doing the trance work, that's the end of my ad, okay? Yesterday when we were doing the trance work,
I noticed a variety of reactions. And over breakfast today, some people were talking about the reactions they had. For example, some people said that they felt as though the trance state they were in was kind of rising and falling, almost as though you were riding a wave-like kind of action. Well, it's easy to understand what's going on. When you feel that rising and falling action while you're in trance, what that means is it's a direct correlate to your level of physical relaxation, not depth of trance. There is no correlation between physical relaxation and depth of trance. But you experience letting go of muscular stress, muscular tension, as a sinking sensation. It's just the way we're wired. So, as you're sitting here, and you're allowing my voice to penetrate all the way down, you find yourself getting slumped because your muscles just let go, and that's fine. Some of you would start to go like this, whoop, and bring it back up. And that's the time when you felt as though you were coming out of trance and then sinking back in. All you're doing is having a set of adjustments to your musculature, to your posture. So what might be helpful for you to do, if you were ever to go in trance in this room again, now, you would find that you can allow yourself, give yourself permission to sit, hold yourself in an easy, relaxed, upright position so that your unconscious can go on and feel better and better. All right. Other people have said, well, Mark, I think I fell asleep because I remember you saying this, and then I don't know what was going on. I remember hearing you saying this. Okay. Well, the part of you that's aware of what you're remembering is not your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind does remember everything. Your unconscious mind never goes to sleep. Even in the most profound state of physical sleep, even if you were under chemical anesthesia, so the doctors think that you are knocked out, and they then turn on their rock and roll and start talking about their golf game and their girlfriends, your unconscious mind is always awake, always recording. So if you find during the course of a hypnotic trance that you lose track of what I am saying, or you can't seem to remember exactly what happened, that's perfectly fine, because that's the conscious mind. And I don't give a rat's ass about your conscious mind, okay? If you were to imagine the relationship between the conscious and the unconscious, imagine a place as large as Australia, deep and black and vasty. And then imagine a glowing point about the size of a spring pea. Place that glowing spring pea inside the enormous dark Australian continent, and you have a rough idea of the correlation between the bright glowing conscious part of you and the enormous dark and murky unconscious mind. When I do hypnosis, it's my goal to give your unconscious new thoughts, new images, new symbols that it can use to begin to construct new metaphors for reality, because everything that you know is a metaphor. It's a model that you use to explain your world and to predict what's going to happen next. And so your conscious mind, which is a late blooming evolution in human development, thinks it's in charge. That's because it's always talking to itself. It thinks it's real fucking important because it's the part of you that solves problems. And one of the problems it solves for you is, why am I here? Who am I? What am I supposed to be doing next? But all the things it has to work with as being true come from your unconscious. Now, remember what I was saying yesterday. Your unconscious mind knows everything that you know. It sees through your eyes. It hears through your ears. It speaks, but not in a voice. It speaks in impressions, urges, pictures that come to you, inexplicable intuitions. Now, it may borrow a symbol. Perhaps you may hear a voice out of your past. Perhaps you may hear a voice whispering to you about what to do next, or what's really going on. But the part of you that has a speech center that communicates with the outside world, that's the conscious mind. Okay? Okay? And the conscious mind can only take what it's offered from the unconscious and turn it into reality. Now, we're in the business of taking everything that you used to know and beginning to construct a new model. Part of what we were doing yesterday in the conscious discussion and in the trance work is begin to offer you alternatives. Begin to show you that the things that you were doing before were all designed for a purpose. All of you, before you came here, even though you may have been wildly unhappy with your current level of performance as some task, or some area in which you decide how you're going to feel about yourself, you were having a sense of frustration. You were having this growing sense that there were things that you didn't know, that you need to know. Now, you come into a place like this, and you look at someone like myself, and you go, there's something wrong with this picture. I know that's Mark Cunningham. I know he can go out and do these things. There are way too many people who have seen him do it to try to dismiss it as a reality. And yet you look at somebody like me, and it turns out I'm not a rock star. I don't look like a movie star. How can these things be possible? Maybe, just maybe, there are greater possibilities than you ever dreamt possible. Maybe there are greater powers available to you than you ever thought were possible before. And so as you go through this experience, as you allow the experience to happen, only deciding after the fact, is this a good thing or a bad thing? What parts do I want to keep? What parts is it time and appropriate to just let go? That's the time when your mind begins to expand. Now, Ross was talking yesterday about expanding frames of experience, or allowing some frames to remain where they are so you can discard everything that is contained within that frame. These are useful constructs. We don't deal in truth. We only tell you things that are absolutely true. There are a lot of things that are true in life, but there is no single objective truth that everyone must kowtow to, that everyone must kneel down and submit to. There are many things that are true. One of the things that's true is in adult life, there are no rules. I mean, have you figured this out? I mean, because the students from the Justice Department aside will just say there are no rules. There are only actions and consequences. There are not thought police running around who are going to bust you because you're thinking inappropriate free thoughts. Okay? There is nothing that's going to happen that you do not make manifest in your own world. And so when you allow yourself to think that there are ways that you must behave, there are things that you must feel, that you must do as though there's some kind of controlling authority outside of yourself, you begin to go down the wrong path. You begin to take an unlimited, beautiful universe, one that is designed to respond powerfully to your willingness to grow and change, and you try to put a box around it, as though you can somehow decide what must be so, as opposed to deciding, well, let's find out. Let's have some fun. And the amazing thing for me is in our colossal arrogance, we not only decide that we're going to put limits around ourselves, we're going to go on and decide the limitations for others as well. So you find yourself walking into a public place. You look around, you see a beautiful woman. And immediately you say, I'm not her type. And she's over there going, how come I never meet any great guys? Okay. What you've done is, in an unhelpful way, made her decision for her. You've nexted yourself. Okay? You've thrown yourself into the trash heap of her personal history, all because you thought that you could draw a box. But you know, the interesting thing is, placing limitations on yourself takes some time. It doesn't happen instantly. You've got to think things. You've got to hear things. And you've got to see things. It takes some time. And I've always been curious about why is it, if you're going to go to all that trouble to fuck yourself up, seeing as it takes some time, why don't you just walk up and talk to her in the meantime? I mean, she's right there. She's not doing anything. She hasn't met you before. She hasn't had any opportunity to find out just how good things can be. It's like guys tell me that they'll see somebody and they hesitate, and they hate that hesitation. I go, wow, you hate the hesitation? I go, yeah, I hate the hesitation. And I go, that's amazing. I've never met anybody who could do that. And they go, well, Mark, what do you mean? I get that a lot. Mark, what the hell do you mean? Okay? Because the thing is, if you hate something, what you're doing is you're taking it out of the entire universe of possible experience, and you're making it the most important thing. Now, sometimes it's the correct decision. Okay? I hate people who do stupid things right in front of me. Okay? Or I hate people who deliberately choose to hurt other people. Kind of astonishing coming from someone like me, but I've learned my lesson. Okay? I've learned that there are things that deserve hate. They're hateful things. But hesitation is a misunderstood mechanism. Because think about what happens when you hesitate. It's not as though the universe goes blank for a few moments and nothing happens at all. Something happens. You hesitate, and immediately you hear a voice. You see a picture. You feel a feeling, which means that the hesitation is actually a communication mechanism. It's a way that your unconscious uses to provide you with a message or a lesson that it thinks you need to learn, or you need to reinforce, or to remind yourself of something you feel is true. Now, what is the message you choose to insert? Okay, Ross was talking yesterday about the guy who every time he meets, or every time he even sees a beautiful woman, he immediately gets the thing going on inside. Okay? Your basic fingernails on a chalkboard response to beautiful women. Okay? Now, as messages go, I would score that as not very helpful at all. Okay? Instead, what you can start to do is retrain your unconscious mind. Thank it for what it's been trying to do. It's been trying to give you the message that you think is real important. And all it knows is the negative images, negative thoughts, negative feelings must be important because you keep doing it over and over again. And your unconscious mind isn't logical, but it's not stupid. It knows that whatever you think comes to pass. Whatever you choose will in fact come into your reality.